Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. This video right here is the first official video of a new series that my friend Maddie and I are starting. The series is going to be all about being a first-time mom, going in depth with things that we wish we knew as a first-time mom, or maybe things that we regret as a first-time mom. We actually did a video on things we regret as a first-time mom, and this is just kind of like a widened series on that. You guys seem to really enjoy that. So this video is going to be things I wish I knew as a first-time mom when it came to breastfeeding. So this is going to involve everything about my journey when it comes to breastfeeding. Also lots of good tips, especially for keeping your supply up. It is so crazy right now with the shortage that is going on with formula. I honestly can't believe this has happened. I have family and friends that exclusively use formula for their babies, and it has just been absolutely heartbreaking to see. So if you are going through that, or if you are pregnant and you weren't really planning on breastfeeding, but now you're like, well, maybe I'll give it a try, or if you do have a baby and you're just wanting to hear some tips on how to keep your milk supply up, I really hope this helps you as well. I just want to say first off that breastfeeding is hard. And as a first-time mom, that is something I honestly did not expect. I thought that breastfeeding is something that is so natural, so it should just come easy to us, right? No, it does not. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. If breastfeeding doesn't work out, that's okay. There are so many things that go into it. As long as the baby is being fed, that is all that matters. And another thing, if you are just beginning your breastfeeding journey, I am here for you. I think it is so important to have a support system. You need someone in your life just like cheering you on and telling you that you can do it, because there's going to be points where you're like, I'm done, I cannot do this anymore. But I just want you to know that I'm rooting for you and you can do it. I have exclusively breastfed both of my babies. My daughter, I breastfed her until she was 17 months. And then my son, we are actually still currently breastfeeding. He is 12 months right now. I don't think he's ready to stop anytime soon. Everly weaned herself at 17 months, and I plan to nurse that long with my son, and if he wants to go a little longer, that's fine. If he's ready to be done in the short amount of time, that's fine too. I totaled it up, like how many months of my life I have breastfed. Okay, let me just like make sure my math is correct. I'm pretty sure it's like 29 months, right? 17 plus 12 equals, yeah, 29 months of my life I have breastfed, so just about 30 months. That's crazy. I have like notes on my phone so I don't try to stray off too much, because I can tend to do that. I thought right after you had the baby, you just would start producing milk. That is not the case. Before your milk comes in, you will actually produce something called colostrum, and it is liquid gold for your baby. It is packed with just so many nutrients for them, and I actually started to produce colostrum when I was still pregnant. Both times. The first time with Everly, I started producing colostrum. It was like days before I gave birth, and then with my son, I actually started producing colostrum when I was only in my second trimester. So I think you can really start to produce it really at any time in your pregnancy. I could have been producing it sooner with my daughter, but I just didn't know what that was, so I wasn't really looking for it. It literally just looks like a clear, very sticky, yellowish tint liquid. In the hospital, I highly recommend really embracing your lactation consultant, because most likely, I'm sure this is with every hospital, a lactation consultant will come in if you are planning on breastfeeding and just like show you different positions and how to get the baby to latch, because a lot of the times, especially if a baby is early, they will have a hard time latching, and let me tell you, a good latch makes all the difference. If your baby does not have a good latch, that can lead to extremely sore, chapped nipples. It will be very painful for you. And also, if your baby does not have a good latch, that also can lead to lowering your milk supply. Don't be worried about modesty when it comes to your lactation consultant. They know what they're doing. They have done it so many times. They have seen so many women's and so many nipples and boobies. So don't worry about that. Just let them show you. My lactation consultant with Truett literally would grab my boob and like put it in his mouth and show me, and I'm so glad she did. There are actually quite a few different positions that you can do to help your baby latch right. After 3 days, this is when your milk will most likely come in. And boy, does it come in. You know, like in pregnancy, sometimes your boobs will get bigger. Mine never really did that, but boy, did they literally grow a whole size, I swear, in 1 day. And I have the stretch marks to prove it. Not only if your baby doesn't have a good latch, but also engorgement can be extremely painful. You want to make sure that you are emptying yourself out on each side every feeding. Otherwise, it can lead to mastitis, which is a clogged milk duct that can actually make you very sick. My babies are crying. Daddy's watching them and they know I'm up here, so. Cute. Sometimes your baby won't finish a feeding. Maybe they just want to nurse on one side and they are full, because little newborn tummies are extremely small and you might have to pump a little bit just to make sure that you are getting that excess. Because I'm always like, why did God give you the most milk when they're like itty bitty? But you can create an extremely good milk supply that you can like freeze, and that way if you're like going back to work, that you have that supply to rely on as well. If you have a great milk supply from the get-go, take advantage of it and build that supply up. Another thing that I struggled with both of my children was the letdown. Once your baby starts to suck, you will have something called a letdown, and that is where your body is triggering the milk to come in. It's kind of a weird feeling. You know that feeling you get when your like feet fall asleep, that like tingling sensation? That is the best way I would describe it. It's like that feeling, but also a lot of pressure. Something that happened to me with my second child that did not happen with me the first time was I will get a stomach ache right before my letdown comes in every single time. I did not have that with my daughter Everly, but with Truett, I did. So I always know when my milk is about to come in, and the fact that I'm talking about it right now, it's literally coming in. And I don't know if you have heard like women talk about, if you're like a breastfeeding mom, you'll be like in the store and you'll hear a baby cry and then your milk will come in. That's literally how it is. If I think about my milk coming in, it will come in. I don't know if this is how it is for everyone, but this is how it was for me both times. Is every single time I would get a letdown during those first very new months, it would spray. So my poor little babies would literally be like this, trying to stop the milk. I literally get triggered thinking about those first few months, because they would both choke every single time they would feed. If you are in that same predicament, this is what I started to do with True, and it helped so much. I would actually have my letdown before I started to nurse him. So you can either do that with your hand or you can pump, but that way it would like spray out and it wouldn't like choke him or hit them in the face, and then they can nurse and you're not just like holding your breath, you know what I mean? It's going to take months for you and your baby to feel comfortable with breastfeeding. I don't want you to feel discouraged if you're like, dang, my baby is already like 3 months old and it's still so stinking hard. It gets better, I promise. It really does. Like now it is so easy. Truett will nurse like that, like 2 minutes each side, done. And it is so nice to be able to leave and not worry about like bringing like formula and all that stuff, just to like have it right here for him whenever he wants it. It has seriously been so wonderful. So I just want to say that if you are very discouraged, it will get better, I promise. Now I'm going to give you guys tips on what helped me keep my milk supply up. So the first tip is make sure that you are drinking and eating enough. You will burn so many calories while you are breastfeeding. I think it's an extra like 600 to like 700 calories a day, something crazy. So you need to make sure that you are getting enough nutrients and drinking water. You are going to be extremely thirsty while you're breastfeeding. You thought you were thirsty pregnant, just wait. Breastfeeding, I swear, it was a whole different ball game. I was drinking constantly. So the more that you do breastfeed, the more that you will produce. So if you have a little one and they're really not breastfeeding a lot, especially with newborns, they tend to sleep the most out of everything. So if you do start to notice that your supply is getting lower, I recommend pumping. So there's this thing, I'm gonna read it off because I want to make sure that I get it on point for you guys, but it is called power pumping. It is a series of 10-minute sessions, 10 minutes pumping, 10 minutes off. This is over the course of an hour. You do one session each day, and the theory is that the power pumping stimulates a baby's behavior during a growth spurt when they feed more frequently. So if you're going back to work and you're worried about your supply lowering, I recommend pumping every single time that you would normally be nursing your baby. Another thing that will help keep your supply up is skin to skin. There is just so many benefits to skin, and keeping your supply up is actually one of them. So cuddle those babies. Another thing that really helped me keep my supply up was taking prenatals. I did not stop taking prenatals right after I had my babies. I continued to take those. I actually just recently stopped just a few months ago, which I honestly shouldn't. I should just keep taking them, but I think that really helped with keeping my supply up. Another way to make sure that you are keeping your supply up is to make sure that your baby is feeding from both sides each time, just like rotating, and that will ensure that both breasts are still producing milk. My babies always had a favorite side. If I was just nursing on that side, the other side would not continue to produce milk. Also, to remember which side you started on as well, so then you can rotate the next time around. But don't stress too much about that. I feel like at the hospital, like when I first had my daughter Everly, I feel like they stress that so much at the hospital, and I was like so stressed out. I'm like, wait, which side did I end with? Which side do I need to start on? And I really feel like you don't need to stress too much. Just kind of have an idea in your head, like, okay, I feel like I've nursed this side more, so I'm gonna do this side. You know what I'm saying? And another thing is, I already kind of touched on this before, but make sure that your baby has a good latch. That seriously makes all the difference. And if your baby does not have a good latch, it's going to be so painful, and also it is going to affect your milk supply. And another tip is make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Stress plays a huge factor in your milk supply. So having a little baby is very stressful, but that's why you just need to make sure that you do have a moment during the day just to take a deep breath and just unwind, and that will seriously make all the difference. Now I'm going to talk about a few products that I highly recommend for breastfeeding mamas. The first product that I recommend are these reusable breast pads. You will be leaking all over the place, girl, when you are first having a baby. So these will save your life, and they were very inexpensive off of Amazon. And then I do have a few nursing bras that I'm going to show you guys. I actually only wear nursing bras when I first start to breastfeed my baby while we're at home. Honestly, once breastfeeding is a lot more easier for both of you, I just wear a normal bra. Also, I love bralettes. Those are probably like my favorite things to wear while breastfeeding. But during those first like few weeks while we were home, I did wear a nursing bra. I have two from Walmart that I actually really liked. They're not the cutest thing, okay? This kind right here, and there's no padding in it, and I will just put those breast pads in there. It came in a 2-pack, and I got this, so it came with this one as well. These are probably my most favorite because you can really just whip it out. You don't have to worry about a clasp. Otherwise, I recommend just like padded bralettes. The next item that I used the heck out of with my second baby is this handheld pump right here. This is the Medela pump, and y'all, oh my goodness, this is probably like my ultimate must-have for breastfeeding moms. I love this because it's so easy. I don't have to worry about a pump and cleaning a bunch of different parts and setting it up. Literally, it is just a few parts. I can bring this on the go. I can have it in the car. It's ready on hand if I'm ever like engorged and I like need to relieve myself right now. A pump is something that you are going to want to have, especially if you are a working mom. I use two different pumps. I use the Bella Baby pump and I use the Medela pump. Honestly, I actually prefer the Bella Baby one. I feel like it's a little bit easier to use. And another one that I highly recommend is the pumps that you are able to insert in your bra. It is so easy, especially if you have more than one kid or you're a working mom. It is seriously makes all the difference being able to just put that in your bra and not like sit there and wait. Like you can like do other things. I highly recommend getting one of those. I can link one below for you guys. I actually have a video where I tried one for the first time, so I can link that below if you guys are curious. Another product that is a must-have is a Haakaa cup. I have raved about this in so many videos. If you guys have been here for a while, you're like, okay, Allie, we get it, because I talk about it so much. If you don't know, when you produce milk, while your baby is nursing on one side, the other side will be spraying, leaking, all that fun stuff. And what the Haakaa cup does is it will section to the other boob and collect all of that milk. And y'all, I have literally gotten 10 ounces out of one side of my boob before. Okay, that's literally insane. And that would have just all gone to waste. With the Haakaa cup, I'm able to store that and create a wonderful supply. So another one that I know that a lot of women rave about is the I think it's the Ladybug. I actually had it and I never used it, which I really regret because I bought it and I was so excited and I just like never used it. But if you don't know, you're also going to be just like leaking day to day. Your baby doesn't have to be nursing for you to leak. It's just gonna happen. So what the Ladybug does, it's like a Haakaa, but you can keep it inside your bra and it will collect that milk as well. Another thing that I really recommend is a ton of receiving blankets. I used so many of these. When you go to sleep, when you are first breastfeeding, you are going to wake up many times in just a puddle of milk. It is so uncomfortable and so terrible. And so with receiving blankets, I would just put those on the bed every night and go to sleep. And that way I'm not like having to change my sheets constantly. And they really soak up a lot because they'll probably give you a ton at the hospital. So they have many great uses. Another thing that I recommend, and this is something that I haven't gotten for either of my children, and I'm going to get it with a third baby if we are blessed with a third baby, is a cover with a wire. Especially during those first few months, they're gonna be not pros at all and they're gonna be really confused and just like bobbing their little heads around looking for it, and that way you're able to like see what they're doing and help them, because it's very hard to like venture out when you're still a new breastfeeding mama. I honestly did not leave the house very often with my daughter. With my son, I was a little more brave and we were leaving the house. And I know when you're first breastfeeding, it just feels like the most daunting thing to get out of the house, but it does get better and it's seriously like a second nature to me now. Like I don't even think about it anymore. So I know a lot of people like recommend like nipple creams and stuff like that, but for me, the best thing that worked was actually just breast milk. Both of my kids had a pretty good latch, but there was times where my nipples were extremely sore. I would just get some breast milk and rub it around, and that helps so much. Breast milk is seriously like amazing and it helps with a bunch of different things. So I really would try using breast milk before you get like all the fancy creams and stuff like that. I personally never needed like nipple balms or like shield guards or anything like that. The last thing that I'm gonna recommend is these bad boys right here, okay? I got these off Amazon and I'll show you what they look like inside. So this is what it looks like, and these are going to save your life when it comes to engorgement, okay? Engorgement is so painful, and these seriously help so much. These you can either put in the fridge and have a cold compression, or you can also heat these up and have a warm compression. You just literally put them in your bra and it will just help relieve any of that pain. I have all these products like listed in my Amazon storefront if you guys are interested, but I will definitely make sure that everything that I talked about is listed below for you guys. If you have any tips that helped you so much when it came to breastfeeding, please leave them below. Let's help all these new mamas out. And also, if you guys have any video suggestions for this series, please let me know. We would love to hear your guys' suggestions. But that pretty much wraps up this video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I so hope that it helped. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.